Welcome back to OT Sports. Today we got our Week 8 Power 40 college basketball rankings. Really hope you guys are enjoying these videos. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got plenty of content. Typically, a normal week, it looks like college basketball every Monday, college football every Tuesday, NFL every Wednesday, and NBA every Thursday. We also do some MLB content. Um, when baseball season is around, if you guys like that. So yeah, make sure you subscribe. We got plenty of content. This week is kind of all wacky. I'll just give you guys a quick little schedule, just because yesterday was Christmas. I forgot to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. But yeah, this week it's looking like college basketball Tuesday, NFL tomorrow, college football playoff picks on Thursday, and then Friday is going to be our NBA playoff watch. So that's kind of how the upload schedule for this week is going to go. As always, my Discord and X are linked in the description. You can follow that. You can join that, whatever you'd like to do. But let's hop right into the top 40. Starting off at 40, I got Michigan State. Still, barely inside the top 40. They do have 5 losses, which isn't great at this point in the year. They've had a pretty tough schedule. This week they played Oakland and Stony Brook, took care of business in both those games, picked up some nice wins. Um, I mean, I don't know. They have had a really tough schedule. But looking at KenPom, they're almost top 10 in defense, uh, top 40 in offense. It's not like they've been playing bad. Tyson Walker's been doing really good. I'd like to see AJ Hogard step it up a little bit for them, but they're still sitting in here inside the top 40 at number 40. Northwestern, this week they beat Arizona State. They only played one game. Obviously, last week they lost to Chicago State, so that kind of bumped them down quite a bit. Yeah, they're sitting at number 39 in these rankings. They're efficiency wise, they're not the best. Top 70 in offense and top 50 in defense. Boo Booey's still doing his thing, but he needs a little bit more help from the other guys. I'm not sure how legit Northwestern really is this season. We will see moving forward. Number 38 got Arkansas at 8-4. Only played one game against Abilene Christian, and almost, they didn't look great. They only won by 10 points. And Arkansas is one of those teams that is really starting to worry me a little. I kind of figured they would, pick it up by now. I thought maybe it was kind of just the early season struggles, but yeah, they really, haven't looked great. They're not even top 60 in offense or defense. I'm really worried about this Arkansas team. They got a lot of potential, but they gotta start to figure out how to play. I don't even know what it is. It's just they're just not doing great. At number 37, I got TCU. They are top 50 in offense and top 40 in defense. Overall, a very solid team. They just lost to Nevada, who I have one place ahead of them. We'll get to Nevada in a second. But yeah, no, TCU's been doing pretty solid. I got them at 37. They're 10-2. Number 36, I do have the aforementioned Nevada. They've been playing some really good ball. They're top 40 in KenPom. They're at 37 in KenPom. Almost top 50 in offense, almost top 30 in defense. Very solid team, and they got a pretty nice record too. 12-1 in the Mountain West. The Mountain West has some pretty good teams this season. Colorado State is up even higher than this. Yeah, Nevada putting together a really solid season. They're 12-1. They just took down TCU, a team that still is in the top 40, and their only loss this season is to Drake. They got a pretty decent wins. They beat Georgia Tech. They just pretty much dominated TCU, and they beat Washington, who beat Gonzaga. So Nevada's actually looking very solid. Villanova just took down Creighton this past week. They're sitting at 35. Yeah, very solid win. They also dominated DePaul. They had two very good performances this week. Really liked what I saw from them, so they move up a little bit. They are sitting at number 17 in defense. The offense is still a little bit behind, but if they can get inside that top 30, uh, offensive efficiency wise, they could be very good. Um, Justin Moore has been really good for them. Eric Dixon, he's been really good. They got a lot of guys over there, and they're putting together a very solid year. Um, Big East play has officially started, so we're going to start to see them go against some of the big dogs a little bit later in the month of January. Number 34, I got San Diego State. They've been doing pretty good, 10-2 record. They had a loss to Grand Canyon a couple of weeks ago, and then an early loss to BYU. But besides that, they've been lights out. They have a win over Washington, who's been very solid. They have um, some other pretty solid wins. And this week they take on Gonzaga on the road. That's going to be a really tough test for them. But to be honest, Gonzaga really hasn't looked all that impressive to me, and I think they have a shot to do this. So they're just outside the top 20 in defense, and if they can get some things going on offense, they could be a very scary team come March. I got them at 34. Ohio State at 33. Another team that's been very solid to start the year. They're also 10-2. Besides the bad loss to Penn State, their only other losses to Texas A&M, second game of the year. They have a good win over Alabama, who Ken Palm really likes just because of how dominant their offense is, and they beat UCLA, a team who was inside my top 40 for quite a while. Now I know UCLA has fallen off quite a bit recently. They're at 5-6 now, um, but they're still, they're not a terrible team. At least I don't think. Um, Ohio State plays West Virginia on the road. That's always going to be a tough one. West Virginia is usually a pretty good team. But once we start heading into January, we're going to really see how legit this team is. Because Big Ten play will obviously kick off. Well, not kick off, but you know what I mean. Start up. They got the number 20 offense. Defensively, they got to get a little bit more going. Dead Key, you know, he's been pretty solid, but I'd like to see a little bit more out of him defensively. And Bruce Thornton, man, he's been great. Jameson Battle as well. They've really been leading the charge for Ohio State offensively. Both of them have been very very solid. Um, Texas A&M is at 32. They did beat Ohio State very early in the year, so had to respect that. I put them a spot ahead. Um, they're at 8-4. Last week they had a loss to Houston. This past week they had one game against Houston Christian. They took care of business pretty handily there. They are sitting at the number 5 offense. If they can really focus in on the defensive side of the ball, they could be a very scary team. Um, they're not even top 80 on defense. If they could get even to 50 or 40, like top 50, top 40, they could be a very scary team, and they already are a very solid team at 8-4. But come time in January when SEC play starts up, they're gonna have to get a little bit more going defensively. But the offense has been very explosive. Miami at 31. I don't know what to think still about this team. They're 9-2. Only losses to Colorado and Kentucky. Their best one is probably Kansas State, and Kansas State's not a bad team. They're 9-3, but they don't really have that standout win. Efficiency wise, they're not really anywhere to be found. They're number 28 offense, but the defense is 136, so that's obviously not what you want to see. They got to figure out how to defend because they're not going to go anywhere if they can't. Norchad O'Meara has been very solid for them. He was with them last year. Nigel Pack's kind of taking a step down. I'd like to see him, get back up to there. But they got a new guy, Wooga Poplar. I think that's how you say it. He's been very good offensively. They got, you know, four guys over 12 points per game, but defensively they gotta, you know, start figuring out how to defend. That is not the problem for Virginia. Virginia is always a very solid defensive team. They're at the number 3 defense, but offensively, 142 is just not going to cut it. You know, they gotta get some offense going. I don't know what it is, passing the ball maybe. They're only averaging 65 points per game. Their leading scorer is Reese Beekman. Um, so obviously they gotta get some. I mean, their leading scorer is averaging 12.5 points per game. That's just not gonna cut it. This past week they just lost to Memphis, 54 to 77. They really don't score any amount of points whatsoever. Um, you know, in the good teams they've played, 73 against Florida, 41 against Wisconsin, 59 against Texas A&M, 56 against West Virginia. West Virginia's not even good. I just kind of threw them in there. And then 54 against Memphis. That's just not going to cut it. They got to get the offensive side of the ball clicking. Um, but yeah, they're sitting at 30 still. Um, Now moving on to number 29 in the Iowa State Cyclones. They continue to win. They're 10 and 2, and they're kind of the better version of this Virginia team. Um, you know, they both, Virginia still very solid defensively with the number 3 defense, 9 and 2. Iowa State's 10 and 2, so they got one more win. They're in the better conference in the Big 12, and they have the number 5 defense, so a little bit of a step down, but still a top 5 defense. But offensively, they are at the number 42. If they can just get that maybe a little bit higher, that is very solid. But if they can get it maybe just a tad bit higher, they could be a very scary team to play. This is not a team I would want to get matched up with in March Madness. The defense is just out of this world. Tamin Lipsey is leading the charge on offense with guys like Keshawn Gilberts and Milan Momcilovic. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but they got some good guys. Trey King is a good forward for them. They got a lot of guys over there. They could be a very scary team to play come tournament time. Number 28, I got Utah. They are at 9 and 2, only 2 losses. They have a nice win over BYU, and their only losses are to Houston and St. John's, both early in the season, and Houston was only by 10. This Utah team is actually a very solid team. They're BYU's only loss. They got some pretty tough games this week though. Washington and Washington State. Washington State's 9 and 2, and Washington is 8 and 3. Washington beat Gonzaga also. Um, so yeah, Utah's got 2 pretty tough games this week, but they have a chance to continue to prove to me why they should continue to be bumped up these rankings. They're at number 27 offensively, defensively, just outside the top 50. If they can get a couple more stops, and score, make a couple more threes maybe, they could be a very scary team. Definitely a top 25 caliber team. James Madison still undefeated. They're one of the 3 undefeated teams left. Good for them. I just can't put them inside the top 25. They did beat Michigan State on the road first game of the season, but besides that, they just haven't done anything. In all honesty, I mean, yeah, it's just really been a whole lot of nothing. You know, the defense is just atrocious at 115, and the offense isn't anything special at 37. They're lucky they're in the Sun Belt, because if they were in a tougher conference, I don't think they would amount to anything. They're probably the best team in their conference, so they probably will make the tournament, and they do deserve to make the tournament. They're 12 and 0, which is very impressive, but it's it is what it is. Colorado just outside the top 25 at 26. They got the number 22 offense, number 35 defense, very solid all around. In all honesty, that's pretty much that's a pretty good. That's kind of where you want to be at minimum if you want to be at like a really really solid team. Colorado plays Washington and Washington State. So the day that Utah plays Washington State, Colorado will be playing Washington. And the day Utah plays Washington, Colorado will be playing Washington State. So they'll both get both of those teams. So I guess we will see who's the better of these two Pac-12 teams, and if we need to include Washington and Washington State as well, they will both have opportunities to get themselves launched inside the top 40 next week. Tristan da Silva, I'd like to see a little bit more from him. Last season he was averaging, I think, like 20, a little more than 20 points per game. He's kind of been taking a step back. He's not even the primary scorer on this team. It's been KJ Simpson, who has been very good, but if Tristan da Silva can get back to last season's form, they will be very solid. Eddie Lampkin was a pretty solid addition for them as well. He's not doing much offensively. I'd like to see him step it up defensively a little bit more. Maybe he can anchor them down, but he is getting a lot of boards. Moving into the top 25, Providence just got a big win against Marquette last week. And yeah, I mean, they beat Butler as well. Butler is putting together a really solid season. Butler, surprisingly, is 10-3. I mean, if they would have beat Providence, probably would have put them in the top 40. They are still on the bubble, though. They could definitely jump into that in the near future. But yeah, Providence, two big wins against Butler and Marquette to start Big East play. And yeah, I mean, they're a really solid team sitting at 11-2. Um, Devin Carter and Bryce Hopkins are their two leading scorers, but they got another guy who's getting up there in points as well, Josh Oduro, I think that's how you say it. All three of those guys are averaging 14 plus points per game. They are really leading the charge offensively, efficiency wise. Defense has really been their strong suit. Eighth in the country in defense, but the offense, besides those three guys, nobody's really doing much. They're all the way down at 111. It's just not going to cut it. They're averaging 75 points per game. To be honest, I don't know how they beat Marquette, if I'm being real, with that bad of an offense. Maybe the defense was just too strong for Marquette, but I would expect Marquette to be able to put up more than 57 points. Maybe that just goes to show how elite Providence defense is. It was in Providence as well. Auburn at 24, they continue to pick up win after win. They're at 9-2 now, and efficiency-wise, I've been saying this. The numbers really like them. 15th in offense, 18th in defense. Bruce Pearl is coaching this team up. Johnny Broome is leading the charge offensively with guys like Aiden Holloway and Jalen Williams contributing as well. They got a lot of depth on this team. They're averaging 83 points per game. SEC play is about to, get going. So they're going to have the chance to continue to prove themselves and continue to move up. I feel like they've been moving up every single week now. Ole Miss at 23, same thing. They continue to win. They're one of the three unbeaten teams. They're at 12-0. After this game against Bryant this week, they will begin SEC play. Their first game on the road against Tennessee. That's going to be a huge test for them. We'll see how they fare. But yeah, Ole Miss continues to get it done, and they continue to win. So, good for them. Very impressed with what I've seen from Ole Miss. They're at 23. Texas is at 22. They just don't have much on their resume. They don't have a ranked win yet. Top 30 in offense, barely just outside the top 60 in defense. This Texas team is very, confusing to me. I have them at 22 because they didn't lose, but they really have not impressed at all. The two good teams they played, they didn't look all that great in. Max Abmas has been very good as expected. But yeah, no, it's just nothing really looking good. Dylan Dessou has been really good as well. Tyrese Hunter, they got a bunch of guys. Dylan Mitchell as well. Caden Shedrick. Maybe it's just because they're learning how to play with each other. I just don't know. I mean, this team should be better on paper. I mean, it's just, I don't know. They got to get a good win on their resume. Wisconsin took care of business this week against against Chicago State, the team in Northwestern lost to. Wisconsin is 9-3 entering Big Ten play. Um, they're looking very solid. They got some nice wins on the resume. Number 12 in offense, number 36 in defense. Very solid efficiency wise. AJ Storr has been very good for them. I do expect them to do very solid in Big Ten play. They've been very impressive this season. Creighton just lost to Villanova at home in overtime. That was a tough loss. They're going to have a chance to rebound. They are going to have to go over to Wisconsin to play Marquette on the road. That's going to be a tough one, a little bit of a travel for them. But, they very well could do that. Efficiency-wise, the numbers really love them. Number 17 offense, number 22 defense, very solid. I mean, if you're in top 20 in both of those, in both offense and defense, I mean, I'd consider you a title contender. But Creighton is at 3 losses. I still have them inside the top 20, though. Baylor Shireman and Ryan Kalkbrenner, having very good. Trey Alexander as well. He's been really good for them offensively. Besides those 3 guys, they haven't really got much. I'd like to see a little more out of Kalkbrenner. People are considering him for National Player of the Year, and he's not even leading his team in scoring. He is their center, and Baylor Shireman, who is a pretty big guard. He plays shooting guard wing, kind of. He is out rebounding him. So, Kalkbrenner is averaging about 2.5 blocks a game, though. He's been very solid defensively. And then offensively, still, very good, just not leading the team like a lot of people thought. Colorado State continues to get it done with another win this past week against LMU. They are 11-1. Their only loss coming to St. Mary's a couple weeks back. But, yeah, they continue to win and get it done. Isaiah Stevens has been very good for them, averaging almost 18 points per game. They have the number 8 offense. The defense is lagging behind, though. They need to start, locking in on the defensive end a little more. If they can, they could. I mean, them and Nevada. The Mountain West is really good this year. You got San Diego State, too. Mountain West could potentially get 4, maybe 5 tournament teams this season, but definitely the top 3 for sure. I think, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Nevada, all very solid. Definitely looking like tournament teams so far. And New Mexico, too. I forgot to mention them. They were right outside the top 40. If they're probably number 41 or 42. I mean, they've been really good. Looking at Baylor, Jacoby Walter is looking like their best player. Excuse me, their best player. I don't know what happened to Baylor. I mean, I just am not a big fan of what they've been doing at all. They lost another one on the road against Duke this past week. And, yeah, it's tough. But, yeah, I don't know. It's not the typical Baylor team. Number 70 in defense, just not what you expect from a guy like, I forgot, what's their coach's name again? I want to say Scott Foster, but I feel like that's something else. Who is Scott Foster? Is that their coach? Am I just making this up? Scott Foster is the ref from, who is Baylor's coach then? I'm trying to remember, but, yeah, this is not the typical Baylor team. It's just, usually you expect to see a little more from them. Scott Drew, that's who it is. Yeah, usually you expect to see the defensive kind of domination from Baylor, and the offense still very solid, but number 3 offense, number 70 defense, just not the typical Baylor team, and it really hasn't looked great to start the year. Clemson got a nice win over Queens after the tough loss to Memphis. They're 10-1 still, still, a really good team in the ACC. Probably the 3rd best team when looking at it. Yeah, Clemson, really good team. Really impressed how they started the year. 23rd in offense, 37 in the defense. That's very solid. Very, very good team. you know, Clemson at 17, just a very good team. PJ Hall has been great for them, almost 21 points per game. Duke at 16, they got a huge win against Baylor. I really thought they needed that one to get me back on the hype train, I guess you could say, for Duke. I mean, I mean, they just got a bunch of talent as always. Kyle Filipowski, Jeremy Roach, Mark Mitchell, Tyrese Proctor, um, Jared McCain. He's been great for them. The new freshman. He's been a great. He hit some big threes in the Baylor game. Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm back. I think I'm back on board with Duke. Number 9 offense, number 30 defense. Very solid. If they can get the defense up a little bit more, it is still very solid inside the top 30. But if they can, get it up just slightly more, I would feel a lot more confident with Duke. The offense has been great, though. I got them at 16, and they have the potential to move up. Memphis at 15. I've been very high on Memphis all season. I thought if there was any team to win the American besides FAU, it would definitely be Memphis. Um, Efficiency-wise, they're not the best. Top 50 in offense, top 30 in defense. They need a little bit more on offense for me to fully buy in on this team. But they just got another nice win against Virginia about a week ago, and then they also beat Vanderbilt. It was a little closer than I would have liked to see, but their only losses are to Ole Miss, who is undefeated, and Villanova, who is also in the top 40. They have a win over Arkansas. They have a win over Clemson. They have a win over Texas A&M. They have a win over Virginia. Very solid team. I think this team is going to potentially give FAU a run for their money now. I'm saying potentially because FAU, you don't see them now. They're in the top 10, I'll tell you that. They looked really good this weekend. Gonzaga, again, this is one of those teams kind of similar to Baylor and Texas. You look at them, they should be doing better. I'm just not fully bought in yet to this Gonzaga team. No Drew Timme anymore. So they've kind of had to rely on guys like Anton Waston and Graham Ike. Graham Ike was there, and he's been really good. Nolan Hickman, Ryan Nemhard. Ryan Nemhard's been really good for them also. They've been spreading the ball around, 84 points per game offensively, which is very good. The offense has been there. The defense has also been very good with Graham Ike kind of anchoring it down in the middle. They're 24 in offense, 26 in defense. All around, really solid. That's kind of why they're the highest of Baylor and Texas. Just because, Gonzaga maybe doesn't have the resume, but you can look at the efficiency numbers. They're better than Baylor and Texas, just off of that. Baylor, has the resume. Texas doesn't have either. They don't have the efficiency or the resume, but they do have a nice record, and should just be on paper better. Same with Baylor and Gonzaga. They should be really good teams, but Baylor, not so much efficiency-wise, but they do have some nice wins, some, not, bad losses. But yeah, Gonzaga at 14, BYU at 13, man. This team I don't know what it is, but this team is just obliterating everyone they play. Now, I know they haven't played anyone good. Their only loss is to Utah, but they have a win over San Diego State. They have some nice wins, Power 5 wins over Arizona State and NC State. So, once Big 12 plays starts to, spring up, we will really see how legit this team is. But don't look now. They are number 4 overall in efficiency, only behind Houston, Purdue, and Arizona. So they're ahead of UConn, Tennessee, Duke, Alabama, Illinois, Auburn, FAU, Marquette, UNC, Kansas, Creighton, Kentucky. All of those teams, they're ahead of all of them. They're only behind Houston, Purdue, and Arizona. Number 11 offense, number 9 defense. And the only reason they're at 13 is just because schedule hasn't been great. They just really haven't played anyone good. They're only 1-1 in games against top 40 teams. The Utah game was on the road. They lost by 4. In the San Diego State game, they won by 9 at home. it's just the schedule really. They're scoring 90 points per game though. Um, Jackson Robinson has been great. He's averaging almost 17. Really, really good team. This team potentially can make some noise in the Big 12 if they continue to dominate like this. Especially once Big 12 play starts, if they continue to dominate, this team will be legit like a very, very scary team. Oklahoma lost to UNC, giving them their first loss on the season. 10-0 start, now 10-1. Very solid start to the year for Oklahoma. Offensively, they need to start picking things up, but they have the number 7 defense. UNC at 11, number 10 offense, number 41 defense. If they can get a couple more stops defensively, I'll feel a lot better about this team. A lot of their games are a little more high scoring than I would like them to see. Now, their offense is very capable in scoring a lot of points. They've scored 76, 83, and 81 in their past 3 games. Their past 3 games have been against UConn, Kentucky, and Oklahoma. All very good teams. All teams inside the top 12. But, UNC have lost 2 of their last 3. I still think they're a really good team. RJ Davis has been amazing for them, almost 22 points per game. Armando Bacot, honestly, hasn't even had to do that much. He's only averaging 15 points per game now. That is very good. Rebounding and defending perimeter defense, or not perimeter, rim, protection and interior defense. He's been great, and that's kind of what they needed him to do. Caleb Love leaving has honestly helped them, and it's also helped Arizona, so that's not a shot at Caleb Love, because it's really been a win-win for both teams. I got UNC at 11. Illinois is at number 10. They are a very solid team. They got the resume. They got the nice record. They're in a really good conference. They got the efficiency to back it up. Number 21 offense, number 13 defense. And I said, if a team was top 20 in both, I would definitely consider them a national title contender. And as of right now, Illinois is just outside being that. They have some good wins. They've beaten FAU. They held their own against Marquette. They held their own against Tennessee. Now they are only 1-2 against top 40 teams, but like I said, they've looked really good in all 3 of those games, and one of them they came out on top. And yeah, you look at they've played. When you look at my rankings, the teams I've said so far have been all 3 teams ahead of them, 7, 8, 9. Considered keeping them ahead of FAU, but I just had to move FAU a little bit up, a little bit higher up, just because of how good they've looked. But yeah, Illinois at number 10. Terrence Shannon Jr. has been amazing, 22 points per game. And Marcus Domask has been very solid for them as well. They are looking like a very good team. Besides Purdue, they've been the second best team in the Big Ten as of right now. So very impressed. Marquette at number 9. Efficiency wise, they are at number 13, number 26 offense, number 14 defense. This is not at all what I expected from this Marquette team. I expected possibly the number 1 offense and maybe a top 50 defense, but no, it's been really the opposite. Completely different story. Number 14 defense, number 26 offense, which is both very solid. I just expected a little more. Tyler Kolek, 15 points per game, only 6 assists. This is not really what we saw last season from him. We saw more towards 8 assists and 13 points per game. So he has stepped up in scoring, but moving the ball around, they haven't been great. Cam Jones has been really good for them. Ozo Igodaro, I don't know how to say that, but he's been really good for them. David Joplin. They got a lot of guys. I do expect Shaka Smart to continue to win plenty of and continue to add to their resume, because their resume is just stacked. When you play that many good teams, you're bound to lose some, so they do have 3 losses, but still a very good team. FAU at 10-2. Besides their early loss to Bryant, their only other loss is to Illinois on the road. And besides, it's not like they've been playing some nobodies. They have a win over Texas A&M. They have a Power Five win over Virginia Tech. Um, they got a win over Liberty, who I believe was undefeated when they played. Um, they had a win over Charleston, who's a very solid mid-major or a Group of Five team. And then last week they go into Arizona and win in double overtime. So this team, man, is really putting it together now. KenPom wise, they're at 11, number 7 offense, number 31 defense. If they can get the defense going a little bit more, this team will be very legit, and I think they could potentially make it back to the Final Four. That's how good they've looked. Number 7, I got Tennessee. They're if they can get a little more out of their offense, they will be very scary. Number 4 defense, just outside the top 30 offensively. This team is very good. They're the highest ranked 3-loss team, I believe. Yeah. Because Kentucky, I think, has 2 losses. Yeah, Tennessee, very tough resume. They've played some tough teams. Have a win over Wisconsin on the road, who's in just outside the top 20, I think, in my rankings. 4-point loss to Purdue, 9-point loss to Kansas, 8-point loss on the road to UNC, who's just outside the top 10, and then a win over Illinois. Also a win over NC State, who is a Power 5 team. This team will make some noise come SEC tournament time. I guarantee it. Or not SEC. Well, that is true, but I was more going towards SEC play. But yeah, if they can get a little more going offensively, Zakai Ziegler, I don't know what happened. I'd like to see a little bit more out of him offensively, because he's really taken a step down from last year. Hopefully he can figure it out. Same with Santiago Vescovi. He's really taken a step down as well. He's averaging almost 5 point less. Now, Dalton Knecht, been really good for them. But Vescovi and Ziegler, I'd like to see them get back to form from last season. If they can really start stepping it up scoring wise, they will be an elite team, and they already are. Kentucky at 6. They got a nice win on the road against Louisville in the rivalry game. Yeah, Kentucky's a really good team. Antonio Reeves averaging almost 18 points per game. DJ Wagner, I believe, was their highest recruited freshman. Actually, no, I think it was what's his name? Justin Edwards. But yeah, he's averaging 12. Justin Edwards is averaging 10. They got almost 6 guys over 10 points. The offense has been elite for Kentucky. They're averaging almost 90 points per game at 13th efficiency-wise, and top 15 defense. The resume is great. The numbers are great. They got great players. 9-2. I got them at number 6, the highest-ranked SEC team. Arizona at 5. Yeah, they lost to FAU, but they're still 9-2. They've lost. They had a rough stretch, and I said if they can come out with 2 or 3 wins out of these 4 games, they'd be set. They beat Wisconsin at home, which was one I think they needed to. They lost to Purdue on the road. They beat Alabama, and then they lost to FAU. So it's a tough stretch. Caleb Love still leading the charge for them offensively, and Omar Ballo has been amazing. They're at 3rd overall efficiency-wise, number 6 offense, number 2 defense, just all around solid. Yeah, the resume's there, the players are there, everything's really there for them. UConn at 4. I probably should have switched these two. UConn just lost on the road to Seton Hall. Yeah, I'm just going to, pretend that Arizona's 4 and UConn's 5. I probably should have switched them, but yeah, UConn, and then a close win over St. John's. They need to get, I believe Tristan Newton is hurt right now. They really need him back. He was their leading scorer. He's averaging 16 points per game. They just don't look the same without him. Donovan Kling has been amazing for them. Alex Caravan, Cam Spencer, all those guys, really, really good. UConn, number 4 offense, number 24 defense. They need a little bit more defensively to get into that top 20 in both. Houston at 3, they're the third undefeated team and probably the best. Yeah, they are the best undefeated team. 12-0. They got a win over Texas A&M. They got a road win over Xavier. They got a road win over Utah. They got a win over Dayton. So, not the best resume, but LJ Cryer has been very good. 17 points per game. Jamal Shed, I don't know what happened to him. He really has taken a step down from last season. Unfortunate to see, but it is what it is. If he can get things going a little more for them, they will be very solid. 16th in offense, number 1 defense also. Yeah, if they can, if Jamal Shed can step it up offensively, kind of return to form from last year, they will be a force, and they already are. They're undefeated. Just the resume isn't quite there for me to put them ahead of these top 2 teams. I thought about putting ahead of Kansas. Kansas at 11-1. Hunter Dickinson has been great offensively and defensively. Kevin McCullough and KJ Adams. It's really their big 3, and that big 3 has been, really, really solid. All 3 of them are averaging a combined 50, but efficiency-wise, the offense, not great. 36, the defense at number 6. That's not the best, but I do have to put them up at 2 just based on the resume. Their only loss is to Marquette. They have a win over Kentucky, who I have at 6. They have a win over Tennessee, who I have at 7. They have a win over UConn, who I have at 4. So, they got the resume to back it up. Efficiency-wise, though, I'd like to see them get a little bit higher offensively, kind of just, figure it out. Maybe it's just because Hunter Dickinson is new, but it has been quite some time. I do expect them, hopefully, to figure it out. And then number 1, Purdue, still 11-1. Yeah, they deserve it. They just dominated Jacksonville. I mean, they should have. Zach Edey, 24 points per game, 10 rebounds. Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, the 2 young guards from last season, they have really stepped it up. Lance Jones also. They got much better guard play now. This team will not lose in the first round this season. I guarantee they will not lose in the first round. Just because it is not only Zach Edey at this point. Last season it was only Zach Edey. And that's why they lost, because they just shut them down, and their guards were young. They were inexperienced. They couldn't shoot the ball very efficiently. But now it is just not the case. That is, exactly opposite of what it is now. The guards are a lot more experienced, and they are better. Number 2 offense. That just goes to show how the guards have really stepped it up. And the number 12 defense, Zach Edey, is obviously a presence. Almost 2.5 blocks a game. So, yeah, it's going to do it for the Week 8 Power 40 college basketball rankings. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a little bit of a long one, I think. Sorry about that. But, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Normally, we have college basketball Mondays, college football Tuesdays, NFL Wednesdays, and NBA every Thursday. But this week, a little bit different with Christmas being yesterday. College basketball today, NFL tomorrow, college football Thursday, and NBA Friday. So you guys have that to look forward to for this week. As always, my Discord and X are linked in the description. You can join that, you can follow that, whatever you'd like to do. But I will see you guys tomorrow with NFL picks. Hope you guys enjoyed this one.